Since this is a longer video, I went ahead and put the timeline down in the description. Just go to that and click on the section that you would like to see. Hello everybody. In today's video, we're going to go over the installation of this multimedia player head unit for the 2015 Chevrolet Colorado Z71. All right everybody, so I got this pretty cool head unit from Amazon from a seller called the Philosin store. It's made by Citreal, I guess. It's got a Citreal name and brand on it. I've never heard of them before, but it looks pretty cool. Had pretty good reviews on Amazon, and it can do a lot of things with all of your multimedia devices. It has Bluetooth. You can stream Netflix on it, it seems like. It's got Google Maps and all of the cool things that a typical tablet, I think, would have. So first, let's go ahead and show you what's in the box, and then we'll go out to the truck and install it and kind of play around with it and let you guys see what it's all about, okay? So first thing is, it does come with a cool little user manual. It's not too long and it's pretty basic and easy to read. I'm going to put every page of this at the end of this video so that you guys can kind of look over it if you ever need a reference to it. But it's only 16 pages long. Whoops. And we'll just leave that there. In any case, let's go ahead and open the box, or let's just look at it for a moment. It's got a couple stickers on here and it says application 2015 to 2022 Chevrolet Colorado or 2015 to 2022 GMC Canyon. It's an Android stereo. It has 4 plus 64 gigabyte. I'm not sure what that means, but I don't know if it has 4 gigabytes or 64 gigabytes, or you can add more memory to it. I'm not sure. It has a 9-inch IPS HD screen. And I don't know, there's a number here. Maybe it's the model number if you guys are curious. L6313. Up here just says Android 10 car stereo. C ... to Bluetooth 5.0 4G LTE. So that's another thing. You can actually put a SIM card in it, it seems, to use data. So you always have internet around if you need it. And you can also have it connected to a wireless hotspot. So anyway, let's look at it a little bit. It did come with a little bit of a dent here in the box, but everything seems to be packaged quite nicely inside and protected at least. Go ahead and open it. I think here on the top was where the user manual was. And on top, you'll see that you get this cardboard box. And let's go ahead and open it and put this down real quick. I'll bring it back up later. And inside of this box, you have all of the wire harnesses and separated in different bags. So let's go through the first bag here. Oops, I dropped one. Inside of there was this cable here. It looks to be the 4G LTE SIM card there that you can put inside there, and more on this later because it's going to take a specific size SIM card. Maybe you need an adapter. So that's how you will be able to get your 4G data. This is a 4G antenna, it looks like. Going to have to install that somewhere. And it has inside of this Ziploc bag, it looks like all of the audio cables. It says FL out, like front left out, for example, auxiliary, things like that. And then in this one, I'm not sure exactly what it, oh, it's a USB. USB has a USB-A on there. So we'll put all of this back into this bag. Oh, it came with an antenna here. It does have a couple of slots for antennas. I don't know if there's another one, because just really quick here, on the Amazon listing, it gives you the wiring diagram and everything. And over here, can't see it so well on there, or here maybe you could see a little bit better, but there's 2 antenna spots there that go on the radio. And according to this on Amazon, it was the 24 and 25, which is the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi antenna. Okay, so we know what those 2 antennas are. We should see another antenna in here somewhere. If not, maybe it fell on the floor and I'll find it later. But then we have the GPS antenna. We have a speaker. So currently I'm running also a smart radio as well, I guess you would say. This speaker, so the unit is going to have Bluetooth, but also probably like mine does, it has also the main unit's Bluetooth. It's hard to explain, but the Bluetooth that came with the truck on my current radio has the same interface and everything, and so that has Bluetooth. And then you can also use the actual radio's Bluetooth as well. And this speaker, you'll be able to hear phone calls and also GPS navigation, for example, and things like that, if you don't want to use your vehicle's audio system in case you're using it for something else you'd rather prefer. You have this, which is a box that converts, it's a CANBUS, so this converts a lot of the things that you connect to it, so it's easier for it to read. It's like a little mini computer. Another little wire harness here, and all of your other major wire harnesses there, auxiliaries and things like that. Go ahead and put all this back so we don't lose it, and we'll take it to the truck, and I'll explain more of what each of those are. But it is a good idea to make a printout of the diagram that they give you with these numbers on it. And it did say in the listing that you could ask for a more of a higher definition wire diagram if you want to see more of how things are connected to the radio. So there's not any videos that I could find, any good ones that I could find of how to install this, but we'll try to make our own video so that everybody can follow along and hopefully be successful in their install. Let's go back through this box here. Inside of the box, you can see it has this nice foam padding on it. So as I said before, there was a dent in the box, but this padding keeps kind of everything installed or protected, I guess. Okay, let's try to lift this out. I don't want to damage it, so let's do it carefully. And we got the unit out, but as you can see, some very thick padding. This is very protected even if you got some damage on the box. And sit this here for a moment just to double check that nothing else is left behind. And nothing is. Well, you can see there's the dent in the box, but this padding is so thick, everything should have arrived undamaged. And they do put the head unit into this plastic bag. Let's take a look at it really quick. Now, you will have to then use your current vents, which I have, and then also you get your same physical buttons as that came with the truck. Here, this sticks out, this way into the vehicle. I can't remember what it looks like inside, but I know that the current one that I have and the second one that I have now, the other smart one that I've got in there now, is flat. So I'm not sure how this will interfere with any of the wiring, because the ones that I have that are flat make everything quite simple and easy to put in there. You're just probably going to have to do a really good job of cable management. Other than that, I do notice a couple different things compared to what I saw on the wiring diagram. As you can see, for example, the antennas that show that they're on top of each other here in the diagram. We're supposed to be here and here. It says Wi-Fi with an arrow pointed down is this one, and BT, Bluetooth, was supposed to be this one, but there's no port for that. And then here, so maybe they changed the design or something where you don't need that Bluetooth antenna or something. Maybe it's something internal then. And then here we have 4G, which is this one, and 4GM, which is that one. Maybe it's a regional or country code or something like that. But I do have a 4G and a Wi-Fi slot or connection there. Other than that, everything else here will be connected with those wiring diagrams. And what's also cool is here you have a cool diagram, which maybe I'll take a picture of it, put it in here as well so you can easily see. Let's go through real quick. Number 1 is Wi-Fi antenna, which is here. And then I see number 12 above it, which mine is blank. It says Bluetooth antenna. So I don't know what I can do about that. We'll see if we can dig into it and see what exactly we have. Number 2 is the radio antenna, which is way over here. Number 3, audio and video input here. I guess I won't go through all of it. You guys can read as well. And we'll make sure that let's see, what is a unit socket sketch map? Okay, we'll make sure we use this when we install everything so that we do everything correctly. Over here, the number 11, which is the major power supply port, is also divided up into each individual pin out there, so you know what is what. Other than that, it looks like this unit is screwed in to the plastic frame. So if you wanted to get it out, you could easily, it looks like. Here, everything is nice and flush. These buttons are flush as well, so they're not clickable. They're just going to be touch sensitive. You have a microphone hole here and a RST for reset, I guess, if you ever needed to reset this completely. And it comes with this nice plastic protection over the screen. And here it looks like there's no clips for it to clip into your Colorado's dash. So you'll have to borrow the clips from your current one to stick in there. Now, I'm just going to do probably a quick installation just to get this thing working and kind of show you guys how to wire this up. That's the main thing. I'm probably not going to mess around with the clips because that's going to take a little bit of time, and I'm probably not going to put the vents in there either because that'll take some time. I think those are a little bit more self-explanatory once you get in there and see how things pop in and out. Same with down here for the climate controls and things like that. So without further ado, let's go out to the truck and start connecting this. Oh, one more thing. I said I was going to talk to you about the SIM card situation. So I'm coming to you guys from the future because I forgot to discuss the SIM card situation. So I use Google Fi, and I think a lot of other carriers give you this option as well, but you can get a free data SIM card from them, which I did. And so this will just stay on your plan, and any data that I use, for example, I only get charged for data that I use off of this. So this could be a cool little option for you if you want to have 4G data in your truck. You don't necessarily need to have it because you have Wi-Fi, and maybe you don't want to have any internet anyway. But this is a very small SIM card. It's one of those nano SIM cards, and you're going to need an adapter, which you can get on Amazon pretty easily. This one happens to be a 3-pack that you can put that nano card in a regular SIM, micro SIM, or mini SIM, I believe they are. But basically all you need is just get one of these adapters, and mine came with a 2-pack, so that's an extra one that I have. And then this one I took out of the packaging, comes with 3 of these. And so let's not lose the SIM card, and let's try to find that SIM cable, and let's see. And hopefully this works. I have not tested it, but this is the only way I can figure out how to make it work. And when we check it out at the truck, we'll see if we can confirm that. Keep this here for a moment. All right, so we're gonna open up this slot. It has an arrow here to push. So you push it this way, and then it opens up like a door, right? Then you have this metal piece here, and it has in little words lock, and down here open. So I want to open it, so we're going to pull it back like this and lift it up, right? Now that slot looks like it's this size here, which really quick is called the micro SIM. So this nano, this is to make it micro. And just to show you, it should fit in here easily like that. So that should be your size. Sorry, it's a little sticky, and let's not try to fiddle with it too much. What you need to do is really squeeze that forward. There's some indents here, and so you need to push it forward as you can so it opens. I had it backwards. Pay attention to the lock word and the push arrow where the arrows are. So I've just now locked it in. I was pushing the wrong way. So let's push it back down to open. Let's go back and put this in there. So it is correct. User error, doing it wrong. Put the SIM card in. Make sure it doesn't slide out of the adapter. Push down on the metal piece and push this way to lock it into place. Okay. There we go. And it's going to be hard to see. Maybe I take a picture here really quick just to kind of show you this piece that locks back and forth on the little nub there, okay? But that's in there solid. It's not coming up. And we're going to close it, and hopefully that works. If it doesn't work, maybe I just need to kind of fiddle with it more just to make sure the contacts are in the right spot or something. But hopefully this works out in the truck, and make sure you activate your SIM card as well before you do all of that. So this video is going to be a little bit long. Sorry about that. But if you'd like to see all of the struggles and hassles that I had to go through in order to install this Philosin Citreal stereo unit, go ahead and watch them. But I'm going to make a quick clip here just to make it real faster for you guys. I'm just going to show you what needs to be installed where on the radio. And basically, after figuring all of this out in about a couple of days, I only needed a certain amount of wire harnesses. They sent you so many of them, but you don't even need all of them really. So basically all you're going to need are the orange steering column wire harness, your power cable, basically the little short bridge here, your USB-A connector for the Apple CarPlay, the GPS, the 4G antenna, your 4G SIM card connection cable, the CANBUS, the speaker, an antenna, and your signal wire harness, which is the IOB. And make sure you use the IOB for the 2015 Chevrolet Colorado and not the IO6, as I explained in the video later. I found out that that was the one that actually made the radio come on and not the IO6, even though my sticker in the glove box showed that it was an IO6. Now there's a few slots in here that are open that will fit some cables that came in the box, but you don't need them actually. So first what you need to do is install the GPS antenna here. This right here is for your Apple CarPlay USB. This cable right here is your 4G antenna that goes into that slot. Over here you have the antenna. I pointed it down because in the vehicle you're going to have a lot of stuff at the top that's going to prevent it from fitting in right. I think pointing down is going to be the best bet for you, but you can try it how you want. Then I have the 4G antenna right here, which is plugged into this terminal here. And then you have this power cable right here, this short bridge that I was talking to you about earlier, goes into this slot, and then take over this cable that comes from it and plug it over here in slot number 8. And then on the power cable, you're going to plug in one end of your IOB cable, the black connection, the only one that will fit into that. And then on the IOB cable, these 3 connections right here, this green one, this black one, and this black one will all go into the vehicle. And then you'll connect your speaker to this gray and black cable from the IOB cable. You will connect your CAN bus as well right here to the IOB cable. And then your steering wheel connection will fit into this green wire from the IOB cable right here. There's 2 wires from the steering cable, and both of them I found out that they work. One of them says Regal or something like that in Chinese, and the other one is Silverado. So since the Chevy is a GM make like the Silverado, I decided to just use the Silverado since they both work. And then in the video, I'll show you how to install this connector where the steering column is. And then there's another wire that comes from the IOB cable right here, this orange and white one with 4 pins that will connect into your power cable bridge cable here with the brown and blue wires that are coming out from it. Other than that, you're not going to use anything else really. You won't even use these AV jacks either from the IOB cable. And you won't even need to use this radio antenna slot either, because you're going to, well, if you have a satellite radio like me, you're going to use that antenna for the radio and music and everything like that. So you won't even need this. This audio cable right here full of the audio outputs will go here, but you don't even need that in order to get music or the radio to function. Now in this slot, you could use the other micro USB or mini USB cable that came with it, but since this is for the Apple CarPlay, go ahead and use this. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is take the steering column cover off right here. There is one bolt that you need to remove underneath the column. It's this big, it's not too big, and it uses a 7mm socket. So once you take that off, you should be able then to take this off. So I have a few tools that I'm going to use. One is a butter knife. I have a couple of these other plastic cell phone screen remover tools. We'll see if those work. I'll try the plastic ones first, see how easy it is. So there's this crack that you can get the tool to slide into and hopefully lift it up. Well, actually I see some clips, so I'm going to hold it open with this blue tool and try to use my butter knife to maybe help pry that off. Okay, just slide that in deep and just slight lift up, and that came off quite easy. Let's see how it is on this side. If you can kind of find a spot where you can slide it in there. See, it doesn't seem to come off too hard. Let's lower the column. Looks like it's really lifting up easily. Okay, that was not too bad. It is loose now. We have to figure out how to get it off. So you'll need to take this off in order to attach your steering wheel column cables. The issue is this windshield wiper stick that you have to somehow finagle it off of there. Kind of wiggle it and pull it through there. There you go. There's that. But as I was mentioning, these clips are super easy to pop on and off, it looks like, since they're pretty flexible here and they're pretty wide open. So there's 3, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the right side and just 2 on the left. The left side was a lot easier to take off. Okay, so now you can see inside the column. Okay, now that we got the cover off of the steering column, let's go ahead and try and take this off. So we'll try to use this butter knife since it's nice and thin and flat to see if we can feel any clips that we can pull off. A little bit of a, I'm being really gentle, so probably could have cut it off faster, but really want to be careful. So just don't jerk it, just kind of pull with control. Seems like the outer bezel's coming off first. That kind of helps. This little wedge in there to help it without breaking that. There we go. That's a pain. Okay, so we got all the clips except there's a couple that's still stuck into the back there. After that, I see a couple of, actually 4 bolts that we need to take off. And yep, they are 7mm. I'm just going to loosen them and do the rest by hand. They are longer than the steering column one, so don't get those mixed up. I'm sure you'll be okay because there's only one small or short bolt in there. Okay, let's see if we can pull it out. Something, oh, okay. I see a few clips on the edges here where the vent is. Let's see if I can pull the left. Right one out, steering column's always in the way. But right next to the vent are some more clips. Maybe I can kind of pull on this. There we go. And on the bottom, there is one as well. Okay. As you can see, there's only, looks like there's only 2 connections on the back of the OEM head unit. Try to take the connectors off. There's one. Oh, that helped. The butter knife. So we had a connection, these 2 connections, and one down here for climate control. So there you have it. We've taken the head unit out. You're going to need to save these air vents as well when you reinstall. We're obviously going to need to put the air vents in there and clips that go on the sides, and you get those from the original one. Looks quite easy. There's these tabs that you can kind of just lift up and over and pull these out. Should be 4 of them on the whole thing. Maybe use a thumb. Okay, so I used my thumb to push that down and my other fingers to kind of push it through, and it seemed to come off a little bit harsh, but everything's all right. There's one. Try to do the same on the other one, maybe without using tools. Okay, much easier with just your fingers. Well, sometimes they want to click back in there. Cut the left side out on this. Let's see if we can get that right. There we go. Okay, there's one vent, or the second vent actually. And then we want to take off some of these metal clips to reuse. There you might need to use your butter knife because there are some of these spikes that stick into the plastic. We'll try to shimmy those off. All right, there's one. But yeah, you can see the spikes in there that grip onto the plastic. All right. Oh, I kind of cut myself. They're sharp, so be careful. We'll need 9 of these. And you'll just place it on there like that. Okay, so I got all the clips installed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can also get them from the outer bezel as well, from these slots. So once that's done, the next steps for me is to install the air vents. They should be in a certain spot. Installs like that. Let's see if they're interchangeable. Looks like they are. You could just swap it to the left and the right. So probably doesn't matter how you put them in, but they clip in just like the OEM unit. You have the slots, these 3 slots, these 3 slots on the bottom go into these 3 slots here, these 3 slots here, and they'll clip in onto these tabs, and they're all locked. All right, so as you could tell, that disassembly video was from a previous video. Everything should be similar in your Chevrolet Colorado Z71 if you have one like me. But before we get started, in the Amazon listing, they mentioned something about a couple of different cables. It's talking about the IO code. So you need to figure out what IO code your vehicle is using. And to find that information in the Chevrolet Colorado, and I'm not sure about the GMC Canyon, but go to your glove box and look for this picture here and you'll see what your IO version is. Mine is IO6, and so that means I need to use a specific cable. So they give you 2 different cables based on your IO setting. Here's one of them. It's one of the longer ones, and it's going to be number 29 in that list of the wire diagrams that they sent you. You can see that for IOB, that you should be using this cable. Right here, you can see the identification. That one should be, says on the Amazon listing, GM-SS-04A.009. So it's not exact how it's written here on the harness, but I think you get close enough to understand that this one is for the IOB. If you have the IO5 or IO6 like me, the cable comes bundled like this, and here you can see that designation on the wire harness as well. And this one is cable number 28, and it should read GM-SS-04A.003, which also does not match exactly, but you see the GM04A.003. There's just missing the SS numbers in there. All right, before we get started in the installation of the connections for the wire harnesses, I want to see if this actually fits, because this does protrude into there more. The other one, the stock one, does not. And also, I mean, maybe I could put the climate control info in, but maybe I could also put the climate control stuff in here right now, but we'll wait real quick because I don't want to do things if it's not going to fit right. So this metal piece here is going to go right into this slot. I think it should fit there, but look, you can see I have all these cables, the stock cables, in the way here, preventing that going in all the way. And I'm not sure, I mean, it's going to be a tight fit from the bottom of this control unit to the very top of the radio here. So as you can see, it's just not going to go the way it is now. So we're going to have to maybe reroute some of these cables, it looks like. Maybe take this off. This one should be easy to pull out. Just push down on that tab here to pull that out. I don't know if I'll need to take the green one out yet. So for this yellow one, I don't think we have to take it out. Let's kind of just route it to the side. If I can get this one to go through it like that and push it up to like there. But you see this slot right here? This can't be here because that radio might slide under. Actually, the radio should slide into here, so maybe that's okay. But just keep that out of the way. And then this one, when I get the radio in, it's just going to be, it's going to put a lot of stress on there. I don't have like any slack at all, actually. But if I put that back in there now, it might be able to route up like that. You might want to get some zip ties, maybe to zip tie those two together, but we'll see. Maybe I leave it like that so we leave some slack on there when we slide that thing in. These, I don't know. I don't think it's going to fit. I have this big old nub here. Even if I pull this Christmas tree connector out, it must take some strength because they're meant to not come out. Okay, and you know, this Christmas tree on the side looks like it'll have to come out. Wiggle it. It seems to work the best to wiggle it like that. Now that we kind of have that out a little bit, kind of cleared up that space. All right, so now that we have pretty much some of the cables and wire harnesses out of the way, let's see if we can get that to fit in there. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see what I'm going to do here, but I'm going to try to keep this down into the side to kind of leave this open. And I'm going to try to lift this cable up on top of the back, or on top of the radio here, so that it sits and rests on it like that. And then if it fits, okay, we'll begin the wiring harness process or connection there. All right. Try to lift this up. No, that ain't gonna fit. Let's take a picture. So when I'm putting it in there, it's wanting to push up against this all the time. So I'm gonna take this out. So even if I put it down and out, and I take this out to give me more room here to eliminate all possibilities, it looks like it's hitting on these two ledges or tabs that hold this control box in place. So now we got the cables out to make sure that those aren't hindering it. Let's see. And nope. I mean, it could go under there, but then everything here is not going to line up. There's no way this is going to fit in a 2015 Chevrolet Colorado. And even if, let's get the tape measure out and measure this. See if this one fits now. So the width of this is 7 inches. I'm going to need at least 7 inches in here. And you can tell I'm measuring 7 inches from this ledge to this inner ledge here. Not these tabs right here holding this up, but right to the edge. So those tabs are blocking the radio from going in. Let's see if we take this out. First, we're gonna take that off because that wire's not long enough. Well, the way you take this off, I believe you just lift up, right? Or you lift down. Take your tool if you can, sandwich it in between the top and push that tab down as hard as you can to make that slide out without breaking it. If I take this out, would it fit? And maybe this is not meant. So this is your satellite radio box, which I do like to use the satellite radio. I'm not sure if this unit has that, but I guess we'll take it out for now and see if this will even fit into this cubby hole. I believe it's supposed to fit here to match up and line up with the holes here. I took it out. Let's see. I mean, it could go up there, but now once it's up there, nothing matches here on the alignments. So it has to go in at least like this to match up with the screws. And that is the problem. These ledges right here, you cannot get anything in there unless you shave or cut that off. I'm going to have to contact the manufacturer a little bit. They did show that this is supposed to fit on the 2015 Chevrolet Colorado all the way up until the 2022 model. Maybe the 2022 models or other models don't have these ledges here. I'm not sure, but hopefully maybe other people can use it. Maybe the Canyon uses it, but it's not going to fit in mine. Okay, well, as I feared in the intro, you could see that I was concerned about the depth of that radio, and sure enough, it doesn't fit here in my 2015 Chevrolet Colorado Z71. So I'm going to get back to the manufacturer about this and see what they can do. Maybe they have one that's supposed to fit, maybe they have a flat one or something like that, or maybe they just need to update the years of the models of the Colorados and the Canyons in their description, because for the 2015 that I have, it doesn't fit. And this one was an early model year, I guess. I got it in late 2014. All right, so I received some feedback from Philosin after reaching out to them and explaining to them in detail why this radio head unit is not fitting into my Colorado. They said that they did not expect many or multiple DIN sizes of radios, which I guess are the 7x2 or 7x4 size radios that you might typically see. And so they asked what would happen if I could take this radio and move it down one screw hole and then see if it'll fit underneath those tabs that we were talking about earlier. So let's go ahead and try that and then we'll see what happens. I'm not sure if it'll work, but we'll go ahead and give it a try. So you probably could try to access those screws like this, but I think it's better to just take off these screws around the frame to get the radio out and access those screws better. So we'll go ahead and do that. Shouldn't take too long with just a normal screwdriver. Okay, once you do that, this frame will come out pretty easily, and I just went ahead and just laid the screws in here so they don't get lost. All right, now this is the head unit or the radio. It looks like this. And so you can see that there's two inner screws here on both sides. And those are the ones that we're going to take out and then try and shift this radio box or control module and everything down away from the screen one more hole on both of them. Don't adjust those two, just those two here. Okay. Okay, so be careful now that you have this unscrewed from the screen, because the only thing holding it on now, I guess, is this ribbon cable. That'll give you a little bit of slack to move it down another notch. So it was here. So we're going to see if we can move it another notch down to the next holes. And if that doesn't work, which I'm not sure if it will or not, because it was still a very tight fit, and then you still had that chunk of plastic on the inside of my dash that would probably interfere now with this. So if this doesn't work, I'm wondering if it's possible that we can actually just kind of mount it flat to the screen like this, maybe get some really good double-sided sticky tape right here, and obviously don't pinch this cable or anything. But if we did that, that could also work. All of the cables then would be coming out from the bottom and up into the dash, either that way or maybe this way. That might be better that way, because when you slide it down, you're over the ribbon cable and you still have plenty of slack, versus if you went this way, you can only stop here. I wouldn't put it on top of the cable like that. So we have a couple more options, I think. We'll give it a try, okay? First, we'll put the screws back on like this. Just moved down another screw hole notch. It was here. Let's see if we can get it to here. We're going to try to put these two holes right here in the middle because they were up there. And it looks like you can even move it up. So you have a couple of different options I didn't know about. But let's try it here. See if that extra, I guess that's about maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch that it gives us. And see if we get it to fit in there. I'm going to make sure this ribbon cable is not pinched up or anything, and that it's inside before I get started. Okay. Okay, there you go. Those are down another notch here. It says they were up here. And now we'll go ahead and lay the frame over it here and screw that back in. It's all right there. And these two, and then those two. Okay, so here we are for round number 2 to see if we can get the unit to fit into the 2015 Chevy Colorado dash. So I've already got some things unplugged here. Let's go ahead and take this wire harness from this little nub here. You just kind of have to wiggle it with a little bit of force, but don't over force it, and it'll come out. We'll try not to damage all of those Christmas tree furs or whatever you call them. And then same for this wire harness here, because these would be in the way of the radio install. So we have those out. I'm going to try and leave these in here because, you know, and maybe try to give me some slack, because the other radio is supposedly going to try to fit in there. I doubt it's going to work because those tabs are quite long or thick here. And with these stock radio harnesses, try to maybe get them out of the way a little bit. So here we go. Let's see what happens. And unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see this too well. So I'm going to try and get this radio right here maybe and try to push up on the cable to help. Looks like on the left here, we're kind of okay and out of the way. But it's over here on the right side with one of those antenna cables for the satellite radio. Yeah, and that's just going to pinch constantly, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going under the tabs. And even when I do that, you can see that these holes don't line up. So that's still not going to work, because you're going to need another inch or so of moving this radio down. And you do not have that real estate in there to do that even. I mean, you have another, you could probably try to put just one screw in there and see. Maybe we try that. We'll come right back and do that, okay? Okay, so what I did already was I moved this thing down the maximum it could go. Right now it's only hanging on to one screw right here. The other screw I just put here to get out of the way so I didn't lose it. But it's only hanging on by one screw here, and then when I had to put it back into the frame, it doesn't go in so easily. So what you need to do is pop the bottom side in first, up and above this lip, and then you got to press down on the top on the other side of the monitor or the screen and kind of push it into the frame here. And then, I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a tight fit because now you have the metal part here just rubbing a groove pretty much into the plastic frame there, but it feels solid. We're going to see really what happens. Hopefully this ribbon is good. It's got that tape on there too, I think, to help prevent some abrasion, so maybe that's fine. If not, then you're going to have problems there. You can already see it's creating a gap there, but okay, let's see if we can put it in. If this doesn't work, then we know 100% sure there's nothing we could do to adjust this even more to get it to fit. And then I think the plan B is then just to go to the sticky tape. Oh, so you have guide holes here and here that you can kind of make sure it at least goes in the right spot. And it's a very tight fit. Try to keep this tab right here up into that hole as well. Okay, that looks like the only way it's going to fit properly in there. And then you would just put your bezel around there from the stock OEM parts. So I think with that, I mean, it's going to be super tight up here. That hole's in there. These, you're just going to have to kind of squeeze yourself up there, then it'll work in there, I guess. But okay, let's go ahead and do it like this and see what happens. Okay, so the way this works is, you know, this is pinched out to the side here, and this lays down here. I think it gives us enough real estate. I don't think I can plug this in there. If I plug that cable into the side there, then it's not going to work so well, because then it'll be skinnier. But okay, we're gonna work with this design. Okay, so now that we finally were able to figure out how we can get this to fit into the Colorado truck, we're gonna go ahead and at least install this AC and climate control unit panel here into, this is from the OEM by the way, into the Philosin one here. Try to push two tabs at once here, and then I'm pushing here. That lifted it up a little bit, and just hold it with your opposite fingers and then start going to the other tabs while you're continuously applying pressure here. So that seems to be the easy way to do it out, get it out now. All right, perfect. Simple as that. There's your fancy control unit. Now for the Philosin one, Citreal one that you got, it just goes into the same spot. Let's make sure we have it the right way. Okay, it has to be right side up like this, you know, clearly, obviously, and just carefully press that down into, I'm getting some resistance with this little tab here. I'm using my thumb to kind of press that tab. There we go. Good thing the plastic is flexible. Okay, I'm not sure what that tab is doing there because it's already not even really flush with this because it's bent so much that it's going down. But anyway, look here. Everything is in there solid here. And then this is the OEM bezel around that goes around the Philosin unit. I've already taken some tabs off because I needed them for the other radio unit, but keep them on here. And then as you can see, the bezel will help you actually make everything nice and firm and fit tightly into your dash again, because you'll have these clips that clip into the dash of the unit of the car or the truck, and then that'll fit nicely around everything. If you don't like the gray, now would be a great time to maybe spray paint that black or whatever color you like. Right now, I think we're at the point where we can go ahead and start connecting the wire harnesses. Okay, finally we can go ahead and get started on some of the wiring. So first thing I like to do is take the steering wheel control wire harness here. Well, it's this orange one that came with all of the wire harnesses, and it is number 30 on your printout here. So that's number 30, and I'm going to keep this twist tie that it came with just in case we need to use it to bundle up some loose wiring. We'll go ahead and kind of unravel it a little bit like this. And then you can see here on the steering column, we have this connector here. That's your steering wheel controls. So go ahead and pull that out like that. It's quite simple, not too difficult. And then obviously you're going to need to take this and plug it into the female end of the orange harness here, like that. And then take the other side and plug it and finish, complete that connection. Oops, it's upside down, into your steering column. Like that. Kind of clicks into place a little bit. And then you'll have these two wires here. Show you in a little bit here. It's in Chinese, and unless you can read Chinese, we have no idea what that is. So we have two tags on here. One's Silverado, the other's in Chinese. But they both look exactly the same. But anyway, take that and put it through your column and up and out through the dash. So also what I realized that helps a lot is a coat hanger here that can help you grab wires and stuff. So first I'm going to drop these down to the bottom. Okay, once you see it down here, just go ahead and take off the tape and pull your coat hanger out. All right, I got my orange wire down here now. Now what you're going to do is take the hook end of your coat hanger, stick it down through this hole, because I think that's a great spot for it to come up. And just grab onto one of those. Like that. See how I was able to easily bring that up like that, and actually grab your hook here and actually hook onto the wire yourself like that to bring it up. Okay, so I've got both of them up here. So the Silverado one we're not going to use. So once you're done with that, over here on the left or in the steering column, you can zip tie things how you want, just so that things aren't moving around and rubbing while you're turning. But as far as that, we're done with the steering column controls. This is a USB micro with a connector on the end of it. So number 18 on your list here, which is this micro USB cable, goes into this 4-pin connector slot like this. Not sure if you need it. I don't think I need it, but so you'll have the clip part at the top like that. And that is in slot number 6, which is your USB extend cable. So if you need that, you've got it. We're going to let that hang down. I don't want to get too crazy here with the cable, so we'll keep them attached as much as possible. This wire harness looks like number 19, the power cable. So I can already tell that these pins over here, number 1 and number 9 on the connector pinout, are thicker and larger, just like what it looks like on the connector. And so it fits in there perfectly like that. And you can make sure you have it in the right spot, because that connector slides over to cover up the fuse, to press on that to make sure that doesn't come out. So that goes there as your power connector. Great. And okay, so here we have the 4G wire, and I do have the SIM card in there still. And that's number 1, 4G card slot. Pretty simple there. Let's look at the pinout on the radio. That probably helps you more than this. Which slot does it look like it could go into. Top right here, number 4, multifunctional IR. Okay, let's just double check if we see it on here. There's nothing connected into that. So here's your 4G number 1 card slot. They have it going in over here on the left side of the radio, underneath one of the antenna adapter slots, which that looks like that's supposed to be the GPS. However, if I go over here, there's nothing there. But I do notice that it makes sense to have it in a multifunctional connector slot here, and it fits in there perfectly. It was not difficult to slide in there. See, goes in and out pretty easily. So we're gonna leave it there and see if that is the right spot, okay? So 4G antenna there. I do remember we had that 4G antenna in the box there, so that probably goes here. But at least your 4G slot, SIM card slot connection goes there, even though it doesn't show on the wiring diagram. We have the speaker, and the speaker is way over here. Okay, that goes into the CAN bus, but are we ready for the CAN bus yet? Let's get another wire harness out. Okay, this wire harness here, is this the one we need? Like I mentioned, we had an IO 5 and 6 and the IOB or something like that, right? So we need to use this one here, which is the GM04A.033 XP, and that is number 28 on your wiring diagram here, IO 5/6. So we do need that, and that's going to install. See where it says number 29 is the IOB. We're not going to use that cable. So what we're going to use is our 28 instead of the 29. So pretend the 29 is not there and that your 28 is in there. So it's going to connect in 2 places, to the power cable that we already installed and then into the CAN bus. So you'll have 2 ends of these cables here, kind of string them out a little bit. Probably not going to use every single thing on here. But anyway, this black cable, the smaller one, the male end, is going to go into the female end of the power cable that we plugged in over here. So we'll go ahead and plug that in like this. And then the white cable that is next to the cable you just plugged into the power cable will go into your CAN bus. I think you can only get this in one way. So if it doesn't fit the way you're trying to do it, turn it around. All right, now your CAN bus is plugged in to the other part of the wire harness. Okay, wire harness. So what else goes into that? Well, I can see that the speaker plugs into one of those. So take your speaker, and that looks to go into this black wire that kind of comes out of the CAN bus here a little bit, the connector that you just plugged in. And that only goes in one way as well, so you can't mess that up. All right, so we have the speaker now connected to the wire in your CAN bus. All right, and then take a look at your CAN bus wiring still. We have a couple of wires, a purple and a green one, coming out of the CAN bus. There's only 2 wires connected, or 2 terminals into this connector. This wire harness that comes pretty much from the power cable, the blue and with the white stripe and brown, will connect into that. So you can see that they match. There's only 2 pins here, and there's only 2 terminals here. So that go in like this. All right, so next we have this cable here. This looks to be your radio cable, and that is pretty simple. You see this slot here that says radio on it. Just plug it in there like that. Now the other side of this, I don't have a matching one here, except for what's going on in my Sirius XM radio here. So I might have to unplug this and plug it into here. So I hope that I still have Sirius XM radio, but we'll find out. What else do I have in here? We have this wire harness here. Looks like it's all of the speakers. Let's take it out of the bag. And you can see it even has USB for your Apple CarPlay or Android Car Auto. What is it? I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, so it's for your vehicle, your phones to plug into. And that one's going to be in your slot number 3, where it says also here, audio and video input/output interface. So that's this opposite part of the cables plugs in there like this. Okay, and then so that's where I put it right here. Your 4G antenna here, take that out of the bag, and the 4G antenna should go right here. Just take off the red plug, and then you should just be able to screw that on like this. I do have some pliers here. I won't make it super tight, but we'll make it snug. Next, what is this cable? It's another USB. I'm sorry, the USB that was here on this speaker thing looks to be just your USB input if you want to use a USB drive to play music. This, however, this USB here with this connector looks to be then your Apple CarPlay, for example, or Android Auto. That one needs to go somewhere. Remember the USB that we plugged in earlier that went into slot number 6, which is the USB extended cable? That looks like that's where this would go. Does it make sense that it would plug into anywhere else? We're gonna plug things in and then we'll find out as well where things could go if we get Android Auto or not. Nothing on here. We're gonna hold this cable off to the side for the time being. All right, next we have this antenna here. This looks to be your Wi-Fi antenna. Just take off the plug where you have the Wi-Fi, and we'll screw that into this. I hope this all fits in here. Now that I have cables and stuff, I'm worried about this plug over here where the cable wire harness used to be. Your GPS over here, by the way, take off the red plug and then plug in your GPS antenna. So in this bag with the GPS antenna, like I mentioned in the intro, I did notice that there's 2 antennas, one here and then this one. So I'm going to use this one. I'm not sure where this one now goes because there are no more ports for it, but I guess you would have an extra antenna if you needed it for the Wi-Fi or something that maybe breaks or whatever. But we'll go ahead and just screw on the GPS here. So according to the list, that's where it goes, and according to the wiring diagram here, that's where it goes. We have everything that I can find inside of the wiring box now plugged into the radio here. So that's what it should look like at the moment. One thing that I did realize or notice right now is I'm looking at the IOB cable here, and I'm looking at the one that I installed for the IO6, and there's only one yellow cable on both of them, and each one says different names. This one says cam video out, camera video out, I suppose, and then this one says CCD AV in, AVN, audio video in. So I'm not sure why they're a little bit different. Maybe things are different with the different vehicles that use each of these. And I also noticed that they did not supply a microphone that can go into this slot down here at the bottom. But if you do have a microphone, you can actually just go ahead and plug that in and use it and see if that works for you if you need it. Basically, that's going to be to talk to the radio, voice commands and things like that. But what I'm going to use is just my vehicle's default microphone that's up here at the top by the sun visor. That should still work, hopefully, if everything is plug and play. All right, after looking at this a little bit more as well, I did notice that 17 and 18, which are your USB CarPlay or USB adapter. Now, I guess you're going to have to just decide which one you're going to need, because they both look like they go into the same slot maybe, which obviously doesn't make any sense, but to put them both together there to see, you know, where that you got to pick one of them. So let's go ahead and take out the USB adapter, because I don't think I'm going to need that micro USB there, or mini USB, sorry. So take that out and then grab your other one that we had earlier that looks like the same exact things. They do have the same color code on the wiring here, so your red, black, green, and white on the same exact pinouts here, same exact connectors. Just one is a USB-A for your CarPlay or Android Auto, and then the micro USB or mini USB that you could use maybe depending on what system and things you're running. Okay, now looking at this diagram as well, I can see that something is plugged into slot number 8 on the radio, which is your control cable. Now, if you remember that plug from the power cable right here, that streams over from the power cable into that control connection. Take that and plug it right there. And then now I also noticed something else with this USB adapter that you might need for your Chevy Colorado. If you notice, we had this USB adapter that is plugged into your car's OEM system here, and that seems to work perfectly for this, and we might need to plug that in. I'm not sure. Let's plug everything up, play around with it, and see if it's working that way, and if not, we can change it with this, okay? But for right now, we'll keep the Android CarPlay here, I guess. All right, so let's carefully get some things into the dash here. Go ahead and take this speaker and just kind of lay it in here somewhere. I think maybe off to the side like that. I would like to put it flat here, but I think that might interfere with the bottom of the radio, but we'll see. We'll leave it like that for now. The CAN bus, maybe slide it over here to the right when we get it into that slot. So we have that in there. I think I'm going to leave this connection here in my satellite radio. Let's see if everything works once we plug in everything into there, and maybe everything will work as far as the radio and stuff. If not, then we'll unplug this and plug it into the antenna for the vehicle here. And if we don't need this vehicle antenna, then we'll just take it out if everything works properly or perfectly fine. But I don't know, maybe I'll take it out now just so I have extra room in there and see if it works. So the next thing we need to start doing is connecting the connections into the radio. So looking at the diagram here, we're going to need to unplug this white cable here that was in the satellite radio into now the car's stereo system. So you need to get your big cable out, the IO6 cable that I'm using, for example, and we're going to plug it in there. Okay, take the gray one out and now plug it into the one from Philosin, or the Citreal. That plugs in fine. This black one here, I'm not sure if we need. Does it plug into this maybe? And no, it does not. So plug the green one back in there. You won't need that. You probably just only need to use this. This black one is probably for a Canyon or maybe other vehicle types. I'm not sure what the Canyon looks like, but it could be one of those universal harnesses where it can work with multiple radios. But what we need is just the one for the gray cable here, because this black one is not going to fit any other cables that I have in here. So we'll leave it empty, okay? And then next we got to plug in our steering column controls, right? And if you look at the diagram here, this number 30, which is your steering wheel control adapter cable, that plugs into your main one here. This one is showing the IOB obviously, but we need to plug it into our number 28 for the IO6. So let's try to find that. So here's the main cable, and where is the missing? If we look at the one in the diagram, number 29, or the IOB, that actually has a cable for it. It's this green one. Where is the similar cable? Over here. Oh my, I'm not seeing it, and I'm pretty sure we don't need to connect all of this shit in here, do we? That goes in there like that. All right, there's no cable for the steering wheel control to go into the IO6 cable. We've looked everywhere, right? We'll start here. All right, so no steering column control out of those two slots. Maybe we need the Chinese translation on my phone. Google helps you there. And let's see what some of this Chinese looks like. I want to figure out what this black, both of these white cables means. Let's see. Connect a small speaker. So that's that white thing. Okay, that makes sense. It's a speaker wire. Good. We're gonna have to try and connect it without the steering wheel controls, but without that, it's gonna be a big bummer. Keep the vehicle's cables kind of over there. And now let's try to start tucking in some stuff over there. Start laying things into your vehicle again. Get your layout that you're thinking about. All right, so the speaker is down there in the bottom left corner. Take your CAN bus, stick it over to the right, and then kind of bundle these wires up and put them in the bottom. I think that's a good spot. Okay, so I'm laying everything flat into here, pushing it down, pushing this down, but leaving the vehicle cables on top if we need them. And this cable right here that was at the bottom of the dash is your climate control. We'll go ahead and at least plug that in to get it out of the way. And that goes into here, as you can see. And then this USB CarPlay, let's just have it come out of the vent for now so we can test things. Come out of the right vent here. And then the GPS antenna. For the GPS antenna, you're gonna have to route it how you see fit, whatever works great for you. What I would do is run it down through one of these holes here, right here, for example, underneath the steering column and up over to the right side here. Actually, I would put it right here at the bottom. So you can just bring it up from the bottom, out from the side and up into your, between your dash and your side of the vehicle, and just sticky tape it. We use the, I guess, yeah, I'd use the sticky tape and stick it right to the windshield. So that's where one of my other ones is for the other radio. And I would do the same for this, okay? The 4G antenna, you could stick up into here like that. It does have sticky tape on it, so you could, actually there's a little thing under here where I can feel it's flat, and it feels like that would be a perfect spot for the 4G antenna once you get it in there. This antenna here for the Wi-Fi, it's sticking up and it looks like already that it might interfere there. So let's just kind of point it down. We'll finger tighten it in case inside it wants to move to a better spot on its own. Okay, so what to do with the vehicle's connections here. This is the micro or the mini USB. Not sure where that's going to go. It probably needed to go into here, but we're going to see if the Apple CarPlay, if we need it or not for the radio to work. And then this connection here from the vehicle, there does not seem to be any spot for this cable. This goes into the OEM vehicle's radio, but there's no connections for this to go into. So maybe you don't need it here for the unit to work. If we look at this, none of this stuff is able to be plugged into the vehicle's unit. The vehicle does not have any of these things here. So to be honest, I don't know why that's in there. It's not plugged to anything and we might not even use it. All right, so I think everything is plugged in as much as we could. We got the climate controls. We got the main power unit here for the vehicle. I hope that the sound and speakers go out through there. If not, then we're not gonna get any music. But anyway, let's go ahead and see how this fits. Let's kind of first see what it looks like when we turn it on. We're wasting too much time. All right, as you can see, I do have the climate controls already working. Okay, but the unit is not turning on. So why don't I get any power when I have this power cable plugged in? Jimmy that around a little bit. CANBUS, do you light up? Well, no. Still nothing. Okay, it does not work. So maybe we don't use the IO6 and maybe we need to use the other cable, which would make sense that would work better for me because there's a lot of things that plug into that versus the other one here. Quickly, lightly plug some things in here. Power cable right there. Need to read some Chinese here. Regal. What does that mean? Regal. Buick Regal? I don't know. All right, we don't get anything going here. It could be because we need the radio antenna power. Let's keep it plugged in and try it, huh? But let's turn the key. So basically, I don't have anything. I just have the climate controls, but everything seems working except the screen here. So let's go ahead and try to check these connections real quick. Let's go ahead and take the gray cable out of this gray one and see if we can plug it into this black one that actually had the part number name on it that they said we needed. Does this green cable plug into this gray one? Nope, that's too big. Does the antenna on the radio matter? Let's unplug it from here and just plug it into here. Nope. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that we're using the wrong radio antenna. Even though we are supposedly using the correct one, the IO5/6 on number 28 here. Let's switch it over to number 29, the IOB, which in the end makes more sense because it does have the steering wheel controls on that cable harness. So we'll go ahead and unplug everything and plug things back to kind of like where they were. And we're gonna switch the IO cables, okay? And let's grab the IOB cable. So it's gonna be very interesting if this works. Either they didn't label it correctly on the listing as far as which one you need to use, or maybe I was just reading the glove box incorrectly, but at least we'll know for sure which cable to use. Let's take out this gray cable and plug it into the black one here of the IOB cable. This green one, we'll plug it in. Actually, let's not yet. Let's see if it still works without it, because it did not need to be plugged in my other radio that I was using. And we'll go ahead and plug the other end of the IOB cable back into the power supply here. So the little power supply short cable connection still stayed in over here as well. And then you have this cable here. Let's see where it plugs into. So this is your steering wheel control. We're going to use it into this. I translated that to English apparently on Google. Translate camera said it's Regal, maybe for a Buick Regal or something. I don't know. That's just what it said. R-E-G-A-L. We see this cable here from the IOB cable, and the only other place I can see where this 8-pin connector would fit into is this one on the power cable, the short one here, the little bridge here. But it only has 2 pins on it, but this has 4 pins on it. So it's interesting that they're not exactly matching, but they do fit together. Okay, and let's go ahead and plug this antenna back in to the radio. Okay, let's see what happens. We still got nothing, but we're not completely finished yet. Let's see what happens. Oh, we need the CANBUS. The CANBUS goes in there. I noticed that we didn't plug in this black cable that came with the IOB. See, we have a lot more cables and connections now with the IOB. That's in there all the way. Still nothing. Okay, now we eliminated possibilities here. Now we're going to check the green cable. Still nothing. Let's turn it off and on. Let's see here. Oh, wait a minute. It actually came on. Powered by Android. Let's go ahead and take a look at it real quick and see what happens. Google. Cool. All right. I don't know if that really worked. Let's take out the green cable. Does that really affect? Yep. The green cable must be plugged into that green connector. The black cable from the IOB harness goes into the gray one. The gray one goes into this black one here. And I hear sound. So that antenna works. Or maybe, oh, listen to this, guys. This is the car radio's antenna that plugs into the back, right? That it plugged into this. It's not super loud. Let's see if the steering wheel controls. Steering wheel controls do work. so we know we got the right ones in there. However, when I unplugged this and plugged in here, watch, I think it got louder. Oh, okay. So we solved some issues there. When it's plugged into the car's radio, you get no music, nothing, just static. It doesn't even change anything, okay? So we don't need that at all. You're gonna get your antenna from the Sirius XM originally. So when I plug that in, okay, we're just gonna mute it for right now. And sorry about that music, I didn't choose it, it just was the station that it was on. Huh? I'm not even on radio, hold on.
XM, now on channel 312 and the SXM app.
So the interesting for
All right, so let's turn it down here.
Obviously,
and let's start to think about it. So we already know that the IO5 and IO6 connections were not working. So another thing that I noticed is that we have a microphone here, so maybe that's why they don't provide you with a microphone in the back, because, you know, that's good kind of, because there's so much going on back there, you might not even have a spot for it to fit. But anyway, at least you have a microphone there. But since now we know what we need in order to get the audio and things to more or less work, I think we can take off some cables that we don't need. So we're not going to use this radio antenna anymore. We don't need it because the vehicle works without it with the antenna in your Sirius satellite radio box. And then all of these audio cables you pretty much don't need. You might need to use this USB one if you'd like, but you do have a USB drive in your vehicle down here that came with the vehicle. So if that still works, then you can ignore this and unplug it and have a little bit more space in the back for other things. I actually keep some music on this USB, which is in the glove box USB, and we'll see if that still works. I don't think I need to put it in there, but both of them should work the same. And then what else do we not need? Let's unplug this CarPlay one. We'll check to see if it works later in a bit, but what I want to see is if the USB here from the vehicle actually works, makes this thing work better or something. So try to plug it in there like that. I'm not really sure what this cable does. Could be the actual USB that you have then. Okay, so now that that's plugged in there, let's see how this works. Try to take a look at this a little bit, turn it up here. Home button, hit my source. We got Bluetooth, which is weird. I don't have Bluetooth. Sounds like the normal radio. I wish you could see on the screen what's going on when I'm pushing the button, but you don't know where you're at. You have to get in the right menu, I think. Scanning. What happened here? No audio files, it says. Internal storage, that's where I have this USB. Let's try to plug it here then. Nothing on there, I guess. Even with this USB here plugged in. Video player. This is a testing video. Okay, great, it works there. We are in radio mode. Now you can see your stations. All right, you had to be in radio mode. It took a while to get to there. But I did not make these presets. They're already there. But if I keep hitting source, I'm trying to see if I can get my Sirius satellite radio. There's got to be another source button. What does this do? This is your snowflake button, which brings up climate controls automatically. If I hit that again, it doesn't go away. You have to hit the home button, I guess. So instead of hitting the source button all the time, it looks like you just hit the buttons down at the bottom for radio. So you get here. Where's this music coming from? Hey guys. It's weird. Right now it's playing music from my USB drive. Yep, I unplugged it. The music stopped. If I put it into here. So you can get music off your USB drive. You just kind of don't know where the source is. And me hitting these next buttons changes the song. And it's changing the frequency on the radio here. Just weird steering wheel settings. So I see some null here. If we click on this, steering wheel settings are connected. So let's go to the manual and kind of read the steering wheel connections. In the menu interface, tap the control icon in the steering wheel control phase. In the menu interface, steering wheel setting, tap on any icon on the interface and click on the start icon. Then press on the function button relating to the steering wheel. This time it will display the parameter on the interface. Press on this icon to finish in the settings. Once finished, the prompt showing finishing will appear on the interface. So if you want your volume to be here, I mean, I've noticed already that the volumes aren't lining up here. Click on the null, click on start. Now the way they said this is supposed to work is if you please hold the button on the steering wheel into the learning state. Okay. So I was just turning my volume up. I don't like that. This is not working properly, I guess. In the menu interface, tap the control icon to enter the steering wheel control interface. So we did that. Tap on any icon on the interface. So let's tap on this button and click on the start icon. So when I click on it, nothing happens. Click on it, start. It just went back. Press on the function button relating to the steering wheel. This time it will display the parameter on the interface. Press on this icon to finish the settings. So why is it not working? You're supposed to tap one, hit the start, hit this. Doesn't work. Please hold the button on the steering wheel into the learning state. So I'm holding it. Now, do I push this? Okay, for some reason the steering wheel controls are not really working here. I'm not sure. We'll have to have Philosin maybe fill us in on how we're supposed to do that. All right. Also, I just took off this USB cable that was in the micro USB that was plugged into the back of the unit. And I'm still getting audio and music from the USB drive that I have plugged into the truck's USB port. As you can hear, there's some music there. So it seems like we don't need these two cables from the vehicle for this unit to work. I'm not too exactly sure what these go to. All right, so now let's go with the other one here for the CarPlay here. We'll go ahead and plug it into the USB here. And now I have an Android phone here, and it's USB-C typically, so I have this USB-A to USB-C adapter, and I'm going to plug my phone into it and see what happens, what comes up on the screen here. Okay, so like this. I have it plugged in. Is there anything on here that says CarPlay? I saw CarLink, and if this doesn't work, we'll have to check the iPhone. Waiting for device to connect. Connecting. Okay, there it is. Welcome to Android Auto. Continue. Okay, that's cool. So in order to get your Android Auto to work or CarPlay, go to your menu or go to your apps down here in the middle. Click on CarLink, and from there it's pretty self-explanatory how to get it set up. So if you like that kind of thing, then you can use it. I don't use it too much, so I just use whatever's on here, and I've got what I need. But there you go. You're going to need that cable for your CarPlay. I think right now we're going to go ahead and plug. Let's see. I was playing around with the Silverado. Both of these cables seem to work for the steering wheel controls, the Silverado or this other one. But you know what? Since it's GM and it's Silverado, it says this doesn't say anything other than Regal. So even though I don't have a Silverado, but the Silverado one works, we're going to just go ahead and use the Silverado one just to, I guess, keep it, similar to GM. Now we're going to have to be very neat. At least I want to be very neat on how I put everything back in here. Try not to go over there. Maybe slide it up under because the back of that panel is going to have to fit under there. Take the speaker, push that back in there as far as it'll go. Tuck the green. Well, let's take the CANBUS, stick it up into there. That fits in there. This green cable can go up into there. I don't know how much wiring we can get up in there because There's just so much of that. It's not even going to, I mean, how much of that can be tucked underneath? Let's see. We still have this 4G. We'll try to slide it up in there. Take the 4G antenna. I mean, like I said, peel this off, stick it right under there, and you have a good spot for it, I would say. What else can we fit on here? We'll try to stick this cable as well. If we can tuck that up in there like that. For the CarPlay here, you've got the cable here. You just plug in your normal USB cable for your phone to it. I feel like this is going to have to go on top and tucked around the side here underneath. So let's try to do that. Kind of wiggle it, get some, tuck some things down and flat into spots where you got room. Don't want to pinch anything off and break it. This old antenna cable for a satellite radio is still a pain in the butt. But if you can get this in there nice and neat, it's kind of up to you how you want to do it. Alright, that's in there. So we've got pretty much everything in here tucked away that we could. And the screws are lining up. Let's go ahead and put one screw in for now. Oh, see these? We got to get them up in there. Check out everything. Okay. All right. So we finally got this installed after all of that extra stuff we had to do. But if you just start with that from the beginning, then you won't have any issues. So this is your bezel that will snap into place. Once you get the clips on here, which I don't have, but I'm just kind of showing you what it's going to look like with the vents, okay? So I'm probably going to drive around with it for a little bit, see how I like it, and then decide if I want to finish off the vents and stuff like that. All right, so there you have it. That's how you install this Philosin radio made by Citreal into your 2015 Chevrolet Colorado or similar. It's not exactly completely finished, but the video is pretty much here to kind of supplement or help you along to get things installed to what you need it to be. And you know, installing the vents is pretty simple and can be done and easy to figure out on your own. Same with the bezel here, but we did show you then how to install all of the screws. So I think I'll make a part 2 video. Stay tuned for that, just to kind of show you or go over some of these things in the settings and things like that to show you how this thing works.